Welcome to the Power in the Hours video series. This is a 7-part series on how to regain your time and make it work the way you want. Now, to start, we want an understanding of your time in its current state. We need to get that baseline. Just like if you went to a fitness instructor or a nutrition coach, they'd want to look at where you are currently before they start building a plan for your future. Now, you also want to do that with your time. By default, we often look at our time over a course of one day. But here, we're going to look at our time over the course of an entire week. So that's 168 hours to total up. And the first step is tracking where you think it goes. So start with those big hitters like sleep, that you know that you generally get 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours of sleep each night, and factor that in for 7 days. And then we're going to add in other activities that are typically time monitored. So you think about exercise, work, food preparation and consumption, getting ready in the morning and the evening. And then after all that, and you've started to total up those hours, see what's left. And then factor in things like family activities, personal errands, and finally, leisure. And leisure does include scrolling on social media. Now I understand things change week to week, but what we're really looking for here is your average. What does your average week look like? Your best guess. So you're going to write all this down, and then you're going to track for a week and see if you were right on most areas or if there are some little surprises or areas you might have just missed the mark. The big thing to look for during this entire tracking experiment is overlap. Now, while you might be working, are you truly working that entire time, or are there some things that intersect? Think personal calls to make doctor's appointments, scrolling social media, reading some news. Now, this is personal or leisure time, even though it's sitting inside what we're considering work time. It's not actually time that we're working, so we want to delineate those two things. Now, I am not hating on breaks, and I 100% believe that you should take breaks during work, but we need to track them as something other than work when we're looking at this level of detail. So you should take some leisure time during your work hours to step outside, to take a break, to take a walk, but just note that this is leisure time, not time that you are working. Now, this tracking could be an eye-opener on how much time you're actually spending in different activities. And especially when it comes to how much time you're actually doing work versus doing something that's a personal function. So if you own your own schedule, like you're your own boss and can decide when you work, this could be a great place after you track to maybe make some adjustments. And we're going to talk more about that in parts 5 and 6 of this series. So as you begin this first step of just writing down where you believe your time is going, it's going to be easy to kind of miss those areas we aren't exactly proud of and underestimate how much time we believe is spent there. But actually tracking and honestly tracking will give you some transparency into where your time is actually going. And it might hurt a little bit to realize where your time is going. Use those apps on your phone that monitor how much time you've spent over the course of a week on Instagram, on Facebook, and get those realistic numbers. And I know personally that's a problem of mine. Like, I've got to stop to scroll. And I know that is the case with a lot of people. So make sure that you're actually tracking how much time you're spending in those apps to see where that piece of your 168 hours is going each week. Now, we all have the same amount of time. 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week, but it's really how we manage it. And when I say manage, make a priority that defines where our time goes. And that's when you're going to have a few little gut twists when it comes to things like social media and realizing that you've actually made it a priority when you look at the percentage of time you spend each week on it. But then this is the great opportunity of tracking and seeing those habits, is that you get to decide now where your time goes in the future and what you want to make a priority when it comes to your time. That's the great news. You can adjust your schedule break some habits, and prioritize what you really want to prioritize. So stay tuned for next week. We're going to get that inbox in line. And if you're interested in a worksheet to go along with this, both the estimation and the actual tracking, along with an extended video on how to use that, sign up using the link below to get those extra features.